Missed an episode of your favorite podcast? Choose from over a decade of content in our archives, not just the latest episode. All free at GCNlive.com.
This is your call to action. Get prepared, America. Economy, survival, energy, disasters. This is USAPrepares.com. Informative radio, educational radio. Interact now by emailing instructor@usaprepares.com or text at 434-390-7953. Class, please take your seats. Now, your instructor, Vincent Finelli.
Everyone all set, cocked, locked. Here we go. Your dial's set correctly to USA Prepares. Thank you for being in class with us today. If you'd like to call us, we'll pay for the call. 866-582-9933. 866-582-9933. Jason's engineering the broadcast at Genesis Communications Network in Minnesota, GCNlive.com. Rich Scheben's with us. Welcome, Rich Scheben.
Well, thank you, Vincent Finelli. How is your morning going so far?
I'm so glad you asked about cars. So, I'm so glad. See, I think you were trying to figure out how can
I usually ask, how are you, what's new? And that usually sets me up for the car category. I tried to,
I know.
deviate a little bit, but
I know. But no matter what you said, I heard the word car. So
yeah, I can see your neck swelling from here.
Well, actually, I'm kind of frosted, and I'll tell you why. I was telling Jason about this. So I have, I like to go to Craigslist to look at things, and this is something that everyone can participate in. So, class, if you're one of us and you're frugal and you look at Craigslist for things that you might need, for your farm or your business or, your when I say business, I don't mean big business. I mean just, a little business to help pay less in sales tax, that kind of a business. Well, every once in a while I will need something like, let's say I want to buy a wheel for a car. I can go to Craigslist. And when I think of buying a wheel, I'm thinking of buying a used wheel from some guy that, either is parting out his vehicle or something like that. Or if I were interested in a washing machine for the transmission on a washing machine, I could find that on Craigslist. Well, here's what happens. So, class, if you do this, you'll probably find this in your neck of the woods. So if you go to Craigslist and you can type in Mercedes, for example, or you can type in Ford, or you can type in Chevrolet, okay? And you're thinking that what's going to happen, or you type in F-150, as in Ford F-150 pickup truck, you will find that the page that you bring up will be plastered with Dan the Tire Man links, okay? No credit needed, bad credit, okay, tires, wheels, rims, okay? And you'll find that all over the country posted there. And here's why. Because this guy is using what I would consider for the little people, Craigslist, used things at really decent prices, parts and so forth. He's using this to sell brand new tires. And there's other guys selling wheels, like city wheels, these ridiculous gold wheels, or these low profile, wide rims and wheels for jacking up your car and making them look silly, those kind of things. That's what you'll see all over when you look on Craigslist for your car. And here's why. So what they do is they use keywords. And this guy says, Dan the Tire Man says, some of the tires we carry are, and every brand is there, like BFG, BF Goodrich, Fierce, Cooper, Michelin, Mickey Thompson, Continental, Fusion, Fulda, Jetson, Kelly, every brand you can think of. Then he says, when some of the wheels we offer are, and then there's a whole lot of wheels, like maybe 1,000. Then he says, and some of the tire sizes we offer, every single tire size you can think of, in every permutation and combination you can think of saying. And then he says, and some of the vehicles like Honda, Hummer, Hyundai, Infiniti, Jaguar, Kia, And then all the models within that. How many? About 5,000 keywords. So pretty much no matter what you're looking for, Dan the Man is going to show up with his tire ads. Now, what do you do about that? Well, we can be activists, and we can help him by, if you see one of those ads, you can click on it, and then you have a choice. You can click on reply, favorite, hide, or flag. If you type the word, if you click on the flag, bam, it's gone. Oh, it's gone. So in your neck of the woods, you can do that. And some people are frosted, like me, because if I want to sell a car on Craigslist, I have to pay $5 a month for that ad. I have to pay for that. But my ad would be buried in with these tire and wheel ads. And it would also be buried with these guys who are selling LED lighting. Now, I'm not talking about LED lighting for a car. I'm talking about LED lighting for your garage, your basement, those 8-foot long strips. That's not what Craigslist was for. Craigslist was not for that. I typed in Jackson, Mississippi. I typed in the word Mercedes. SEC championship tickets for sale. Really? Why? And if you type in Mercedes, you'll see things that say you'll see a Jaguar there. Now, why would you see a Jaguar there? Well, because they say, well, if you're looking for a Mercedes, you might want to consider my Jaguar. That's in the wrong place. So I object to that, and I'm frosted by it. So that's what I wanted to say. So you can click on these wheel and tire ads, and you can click flag, and they are gone right then and there. So if you think that people are doing things, they're being pushy, they're just working the system in their favor against everyone else, you can click flag on Craigslist. Now, I do not recommend that you do that for bona fide ads. So, for example, if it may be a truck, and it may be under Mercedes, but you may want to click on that truck ad because it may be a Sprinter van with a Mercedes engine, and the guy may say Mercedes engine, or it may be an over-the-road truck with a Mercedes engine. Now, to me, if an individual selling that's bona fide, okay, that's not a problem. But the Dan the Tire Man and these finance your wheels, all those ads bearing the bona fide ads that we're paying for, that's something else, and I don't think that's right. So, just wanted to share my thoughts with you since you mentioned cars.
Yeah. I'll tell you, Vince, there's so much stuff to talk about. As you know, what I've been doing lately in between radio shows, I'm just pulling a few articles off to the side to show how we are losing our freedoms and liberties at an alarming rate. Mm-hmm. And there's so much corruption, so many distractions, dumbing down, and divisions, so many, I see more and more despair and concern from the little people who has no representation, no rights, don't know anything anymore. And if it's okay with you, I wouldn't mind starting with articles and try to rip through as many as possible. And trust me, we will get plenty of talking points from that, if that's okay with you.
Sure, that'd be wonderful. And by the way, the reason I mentioned this Craigslist thing is we are being deluged with ads. It's everywhere we look. People are trying to sell us something. Everywhere we look, and not only that, there are 700,000 podcasts right now. You think that's enough? 700,000? It's crazy. So yeah, please continue.
Yeah. Well, when I go through these articles, folks, I want everybody to consider some of the things that's happening, like how the Democrats, the powers in the left, the aristocracy, no longer wants rule of law. Remember the article I mentioned last week? Illegal doesn't mean legal. They're trying to create gray areas. They're trying to create precedents. And a lot of people are saying, why do the right thing anymore? We've let political correctness designate what group you're in regarding the behaviors you're allowed to have. And you heard me say, folks, many times we have to demand the same rules, laws, and accountability for everybody on American soil, not based on what group you're in. Well, Vince, you often talk about things like ethics and morals and values. How can you do, these are just subsets of the rules. We've gotten to the point, and I don't want to, go down another rabbit hole here, But when we don't have rule of law, we can't sue unless you have group self-pity points told to me by an attorney. You have no protection, no rights, no restitution of the law. When you call people out for following the rule of law, you are called a victim. Yet the same people who are lowering the bars of standards and expectations for getting a job. And this is what political correctness does, because people are afraid to speak up anymore. So how do you get close to somebody when the powers that be behind your back threatens to kill them? Who do you call? Do you call the FBI? Well, here's an article right here. FBI official under investigation for allegedly altering Russia probe documents report. Here's another article, very scary. Attorney General Barr says security footage shows no one entering Epstein's cell, when the narrative a month ago or a few weeks ago was the fact that the video broke or was altered or was fixed or something. Here's another one. Biden says Lindsey Graham, Joe Biden, will regret investigating me his whole life. This pretty much is an implication that says now we are living in a mafia USSR style life. But I want you to think about the fact that we have no due process. The words and definition have been changed for the common good. And this is what they do. They use all these general terms, like a CNN guest said Trump is destructive cult leader, uses mind control on supporters. That's the farthest thing from the truth. I hear this Nazi crap all the time. The authoritarian communism, socialism, dictatorship, totalitarian fascism comes from the left. They want to control the media, not the right. They want to control the police, not the right. They want to control no due process, not the right. They want to control government schools, and they're anti-homeschool and anti-parents controlling the curriculum. That's the left. They're anti-private property. You know, I can go on and on and on. Our courts, our lawyers, our judges who have sold out the people to justice. I want you to think about all these things when I go through these articles that I've just picked up over the last week. So we can't use witnesses. We have no due process. We can't use objective facts. We can't use truth. We have to use subjective emotional opinion that's fed the narrative to the people by the powers that be under a censorship, surveillance, blackmail system. And all us deplorable peons have left is to stand for principle and do what others do of any group who have less consequences for their behavior, because we have no representation, protection, or restitution under the law. So they want to eliminate free speech. They want to eliminate our guns, not just to protect ourselves, but to open us up for government and big corporate fascism tyranny. Evidence is now gone. It's all about hearsay, and they're changing the books on this. And they say they didn't knowingly, which is their new excuse behavior term, knowingly do anything wrong. So when I dovetail financial, economic, social, and political rationale together, this is one of the reasons why the U.S. has turned into a gig service economy with low wages and low savings. These are all globalist benefits, not benefits for the people. So the money just gets transferred by the elites to the elites. We are literally in a mafia environment. And people are calling for certain behaviors, and everyone who's doing this is telling you how basically it's all dependent on the group.
Hold on. Rich Scheben's with us, offgridmontana.com, offgridmontana.com. Rich, you were on a roll, and we went into a break. Please continue.
Yeah, well, thank you, Vince. I appreciate as always, you letting me exercise my First Amendment rights. And, folks, as always, every article that I am mentioning on the air, as I've been doing for many years, doesn't matter what radio show I'm on, these are all published articles in the public domain. They're made to wake people up, maybe to make some of you angry, so we can be Americans and not be designated by groups and lower the bars of standards and expectations for jobs and have the the aristocracy, keep in mind, it's not a left-right paradigm. Very little of that. It's mostly aristocracy managing and controlling the serfs. So first article, liberal tyranny and insanity now on full display. Parents should not have the final say in raising children, says public school. Better start homeschooling your kids, folks. Next article, NFL disappointment at Kaepernick not appearing at workout. Well, he was already a multimillionaire to start with, and the reason why Kaepernick got so much publicity is because the powers that be need to create hate. They need to foment division. They need to create race wars because they have to make sure that we have chaos before FISA warrants come out, before Uranium One documents come out, or Epstein and pedophilia, or geoengineering, and all the things in 9/11, and all the things that we talk about that the people are demanding. They need to create divide and conquer strategies every minute of the day. Next article. Previously deported illegal alien accused of killing father of 3 in drunken hit and run. I am reading articles about murders and rapes by illegal aliens, even ones who are accused of felonies, basically doing these crimes against American citizens. That should get everybody very upset. Next article. Hunter Biden linked, and by the way, I want to say that, and I've said this before, lawyers and judges who basically toe the company line on illegal immigrants, especially ones who aren't vetted, they should have all their fortunes confiscated and given to victims' families. And I don't think we can count on the system to do that anymore because the system is all bought and paid for. Next article. Hunter Biden linked firm received $130 million in federal bailout loans. So guess what, folks? You taxpayers are paying for the Biden schemes. Congratulations. Next article. Breaking. Trump drops impeachment truth bomb on Pelosi. What that means is she gave her word that impeachment would be bipartisan. It's not even close. Next article. Illinois school district rules transgender students have unrestricted access to bathrooms. I'm not making this up, folks. You better start homeschooling your kids. I know it's hard with divorce rate being 70-75% and men being kicked out of the home, but trust me, it is a war on masculinity and males. If you look at the people who are transgender, it's a lot more males going to female than vice versa. A lot more. The war is on males and masculinity. Next article. Despite being unemployed at the time, Hillary's net worth doubled in 2014. So how many of you who become unemployed does your net worth double? I mean, obviously it's a rhetorical question. That just shows the corruption we have. Next article. Chicago's rigging red light cameras to rack up $1 million in fines. See, if you ever noticed, the sanctuary cities, the Democrat cities that keep the blacks and Latinos down, who basically are broke, who are funneling money to the hierarchy of the Democrat left party in these cities, they are the ones that toe the company line because they need money. They're desperate. And Vince, I will, after the break, I would love to continue with a couple articles from UC Berkeley.
That'll be fun. We'll be right back. Rich Scheben, offgridmontana.com. Back to Rich Scheben. Rich, please continue.
Well, thank you, Vince. Thanks for putting up with this, but I think these articles are a great way to wake people up, especially for a lot of people who do not have the time to read this stuff. And I know this audience does have read some of these articles, and it's just good reinforcement. But next article is UC Berkeley president actively encourages students to attend hate rally against Coulter. See, these are attacks on free speech. These are basically basically that the left hates communication. They want to set a precedent against free speech. They want to groom students to basically being dumbed down and not having debates. That's not what colleges was all about years ago, and it's totally flipped because academia, the Democrat Party, the elite globalist crowd, a lot of the powers that be are doing everything to represent themselves and not the people. Next article, UC Berkeley considers dropping SAT and ACT admission requirements. Well, why not? I mean, the wealthy Democrats and the singers and the actors and the celebrities, it's been proven that they've basically bought and paid for their kids for college degrees and SAT tests and everything else. There's no legitimacy in college when 90% of the people can't get good jobs, and they go into debt and lose out time leverage on getting a house. That's why they got to rent. You can't get ahead. Well, a lot of these renters say, I don't want to pay property taxes or insurance. I get it. But you know what? It's being passed on to you from the homeowner or the apartment owner. I guarantee it. Next article, Bloomberg News announces it will not investigate Mike Bloomberg or any of his Democrat rivals. That's USSR, folks. That's sanctioned, approved news. Next article, State Department surprise document drop. Details account of Biden's corruption, illegal payments in Ukraine. Basically, this is what the Trump impeachment is about. I've said this for years. Everything the Dems or people on the left say we do, they're the ones doing it. It's a mask. Next article, and I think you'll appreciate this one, Vince. Maxine Waters says that Ben Carson lacks the intelligence to be HUD secretary. Well, didn't she pay her daughter like tens of thousands of dollars from her campaign fund? Wasn't she voted like most corrupt? Now, you're going to have to update my memory here, Vince, but I think, isn't she in charge of like some banking or finance committee? And I remember saying a few months ago, she did not know that the banks no longer loan to the students, and it was the government. This is a 10-year law that happened 10 years ago, and she's on some finance committee and didn't even know that, and she's called Ben Carson unintelligent. You can't make this stuff up. Next article. Republicans and Democrats agree give vast snooping powers to the U.S. government. See, it's not left-right paradigm, folks. It's aristocracy managing and controlling the serfs. Next article, Maryland sanctuary counties to free accused illegal alien child rapists and murderers. The word rapists and murderers are plural. This is why lawyers and judges need to have all their wealth confiscated and given to the victims' families. Next article, Victoria's Secret caves the social justice warrior critics. Basically, they're saying that it doesn't matter how much hard work you do, you should not show off your bodies. Maybe if you're transgender, you can. Next article, New Hampshire town removes Christmas from its Christmas ceremony because two people, complained about being offended. Folks, the word being offended is the most destructive excuse term that has been passed on through grooming and cultivating and dumbing down from the powers that be to especially America's young people. And just a few more articles here, Vince. Thanks for putting up with me. Flashback, Obama fired all Bush-appointed ambassadors in 2008. And I think from what my memory recalls, he basically went after a lot of the press for printing things they shouldn't have printed. So this, again, is the left is USSR. It's Nazi-type scandals. Next article. Donna Brazile launches expletive-ridden rant against Roger Stone on how he should go to effing jail and hope he rots in hell. This is from somebody who gave the answers to Hillary Clinton in a major debate. AOC, impeachment about preventing a potentially dangerous outcome from occurring next year. Basically, truth accidentally seeps out once in a while, and yes, she was hired as an actor. She auditioned for Congress. This is all this stuff has come out. Next article. A large cache of confidential foreign documents has just been leaked implicating Joe Biden, George Soros, Hillary Clinton, and Joseph Misfud collusion and possible criminal activity in Ukraine. See, when they say we do it, they're masking it because they're the ones doing it. I think there's enough said there. Next article. Do you know that Obama had 8 whistleblowers? In each case, he had the FBI burst into their homes and arrest them and charge them with spying. See, folks, everything that they say we're doing, they're the ones doing. And they are also leaving a very dangerous precedent where big government and big corporate oligarchies have 100% protection every way, shape, and form, and the little people cannot control their own destiny, make a living. And we're even told who can work and get a job anymore. This, we cannot live under this kind of tyranny. We cannot do it anymore. Nothing's going to change unless the people make the changes. Vincent, thank you for the podium.
Richie, when you mentioned I'm paraphrasing, what's the possibility of doubling your net worth within a year? Well, I can think of 3 ways it can be done easily. Easily. 1, you can win the lottery. 2, you can inherit it. Or 3, you can be engaged in a criminal enterprise supported by corruption, illegal activities, or being a successful politician. Those are the 3 ways I can think of to double your net worth in 1 year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the only. And when you look at all the legislation in America, there's 10 million times the legislation protection for the Hunter Bidens and the sons of Pelosi and all these people to basically inherit wealth or lands or databases or cash or whatever the case may be, and the little people doesn't even have protection on the law. And we are literally saying that attorneys are literally saying that if you don't have enough group self-pity points, especially if you're a poor or middle-class white male heterosexual with a Christian name, you are basically SOL. And, again, us deplorable peons have nothing left but to stand for principle because we no longer have rule of law in the USA.
I'm sorry, I wasn't sure if I heard you say deplorable peons or peed-ons.
It's probably interchangeable, but I did say peons. It's just like court testimony accuses this. This just came out today. A court testimony accuses Ilhan Omar basically spying for Iran. I'm just reading the headline. This is one article I did not. That's my disclaimer. I did not read yet, unlike the ones I just mentioned. But we have no. Here's another one. Twitter blacklists Project Veritas from running ads. Basically, Project Veritas is a whistleblower company. It's sticking up for the little people. It's sticking up for the rule of law. And people are seeing this. I think people of all, we got to stop being people of color or sexual orientation or religion or gender or what gender we identify as or anything. We have to start being Americans because that's how the powers that be are winning. Because they're dividing us. It's 99% divide and conquer strategies or divide to conquer strategies. But people are waking up. I have a positive article here. Trump at 34% with black voters. Well, gosh, they should be at 98%. I think we've talked about this many times, Vince, where, Margaret Sanger started Planned Parenthood in black neighborhoods to reduce the black population. The KKK was started by the Democrats, and Margaret Sanger was a devoted Democrat. I mean, Hillary Clinton has publicly come out and said that black men are super predators. This is all in transcript. This is on video, on audio, all these things. And we can talk about this in great length and detail. 98% of blacks should be voting for Trump. I just don't understand why it's even 34, but it's still a lot higher than it was. And if the little people don't stick together, freedom, liberty, choices, survival is in jeopardy. Vince?
Norm Shealy said something amazing yesterday. We were talking about fluoride, and I mentioned that I was against fluoride, and I wanted it stopped in Springfield, Missouri, and I would give out the city manager's name and phone number, and I would tell my audience, hey, give him a call, tell him he's fired, here's his number. And this is when I was broadcasting in Springfield, Missouri on a pretty large station, a talk radio station. That's when I first started. And we got complaints. The front office of the radio station got complaints because we were tying up the phones in City Hall with so many people complaining about fluoride. Norm Shealy said that he talks about it once a week on his radio show in Springfield, Missouri, on the same station. Okay, so Norm Shealy was on from 2 to 3. I was on from 3 to 4 on the same station in the afternoon. And he mentioned that he doesn't get any calls about fluoride anymore. And so, but we got a lot of calls, and we tied up the City Hall. Now, I'm not saying that USA Prepares did a better job than Norm Shealy, because I don't think that is the case at all. I think what has happened is people just stopped taking the initiative, or stopped speaking up. I think we are fighting an uphill battle. I really believe that. And I remember when we were little, people say, well, so what are you? And that would mean, so are you Irish or English or French or German or Italian, or, what are you? Well, now the answer is becoming more and more to the question, what are you? Well, I'm a victim. Isn't that where we're headed?
Well, it's absolutely the victim. The victim mentality is dependent on. I make it very clear, and that's why I think it needs to be defined. When you demand. Well, let me back up. When you feel entitled to lower the bars of standards and expectations for a job because of what group you're in, and you play the victim group status card all the time to achieve this, that's called being a victim.
Yep. We'll be right back. Rich Eben's with us, offgridmontana.com. So, class, the Finelli family decided to homeschool our children. We saw what was going on in the public training camp, and we pulled our children out of the public training camp. One of our children never went, when we were in Virginia, one of our children never went to the public training camp. One went all the way to the 4th grade, and one went all the way to the 6th grade. The one who never went to the public training camp in Virginia decided he wanted to try going to the public training camp for high school. That was so freshman year of high school was his first exposure to the training camp. And it was interesting. He got pushed around by a lot of the farm boys until he decided that he'd had it. And he decided that when the biggest student in the high school picked on him and hit him, our son took him out with one punch. What the students didn't realize was that all of our children, part of their elementary education was Okinawan Shoin-ryu. They didn't understand that. And all of our children competed in the local karate fight nights and the state tournaments and the regional tournaments and the national tournaments. So one of our children took 3rd place in fighting at Disney-wide World of Sports. And he was the guy that unfortunately was picked on in high school. So homeschooling is something that we did. Now, what does it take to homeschool? Well, if you go to the internet and you go to a search engine, and preferably DuckDuckGo, I would suggest you boycott Google and the big companies. But if you go to a search engine and you type in, for example, I typed in Mo, as in Missouri, homeschool requirements. And here's what I found out. In Missouri, compulsory age for schooling in Missouri begins at age 7. Any family homeschooling a child age 7 through graduation must do the following. Keep samples of each homeschool student's work. Keep a record of periodic assessments. And number 3, provide documentation of at least 1,000 hours of instruction during the annual school term. That's what you have to do. Pretty simple, right? So they recommend keeping a homeschool portfolio. Now, who determines what the students learn? Well, you do. And that's what we did. So we taught our children reading, writing, and cursive. And we taught them computer technology. We taught them how to use the computer for all kinds of things. But that wasn't the be-all, end-all. And we taught them how to think and how to use paper and pencil. We taught them arithmetic, science, history, geography, and more, way more. Automotive technology, shop class, farming, agriculture. We taught them way beyond what the public training camp would teach. And I was asked when we were in the Commonwealth of Virginia, so what is your curriculum? I said, well, that's easy. It's everything that you guys do and more. And they just didn't know what to say. So, as a matter of fact, our students tested in the 99th percentile in those statewide tests that they issue. And the public training camp said, hey, can we kind of enroll you guys so we can use your test score to kind of help our county? We said, absolutely not. No, you can't. No, you can't, because when we asked you if we could use the books that we paid for through our tax dollars, you said no. So no books, you can't have our test scores, period. That's how we handled that. And so everything that we did with our children was a class, was a lesson, was our classroom. Our classroom was everywhere. Our classroom was inside, outside. Our classroom was in the vehicle, in the truck, under the truck. Our classroom was in the supermarket. We would look at, our children would get the cans off the shelf in the supermarket. They would read the ingredients, which means they had to read. And then they had to understand the ingredients. Then they had to understand that the first ingredient was the most by volume or by weight in that container. They learned cost per ounce. Oh, look, this one is X cents. This for 15 and a half ounces. This one is a different price, but it's different size can. So everything was a lesson. And how does that carry forward? Oh, everything our children look at is based on value. Value. So just because something might be a lower price doesn't mean it's a lower cost per unit. So they look at everything that way. And when our children buy tires, they look at how much does a tire weigh. Who looks at how much a tire weighs? We do. How many plies is it? How many plies in the tread? What is the expected life of that tire? What is the traction rating? A, AA, B, C. What is the temperature rating? A, AA, B, C. What is it? So and what does it cost? And what's the reputation of that particular manufacturer? And what does a tread design look like? That's the kind of thing that our children do because they were homeschooled. Now, you'll have to show me one other public training camp student who does that. I'd be interested to see that. Rich Scheben and I will be right back right after these few short commercial announcements and top of the hour news. This is USA Prepares. Rich Scheben, offgridmontana.com. Everyone all set? Cocked? Locked? Hour number 2 of USA Prepares. Rich Scheben's with us. So, Rich, I think things are changing in the United States. I think we're getting dumber. And here's some proof. So for the last couple of days, I've been designing a heat exchanger for our hot water system. I came up with a new design, and I think it's better than all the other designs I came up with. So I'm going to implement this one. But in order to do it, I need to have a 3/4 inch piece of copper plumbing pipe. And it used to be sold, you could buy it in a roll 60 feet long. And a lot of places would sell it by the foot. So if you only need 10 feet or 5 feet or 3 feet or 2 feet, you can buy it. Not anymore. I can't find it around here. So before the broadcast, I called the plumbing supply companies in Springfield. Oh, yeah, this guy might have it. This guy might have it. or other store might have it. Home Depot, Lowe's, Plumbing Supply, places, nobody's got it. It's called Type K, 3/4 inch copper tubing. Anyway, it's getting tougher to find things. And if you go to Aldi, you look at, or the Chinese factory outlet, you look at their shelves, you find out that the choices are getting fewer and fewer and fewer, and the stock is getting more shallow and shallow and shallow. So there's less on the shelves, and the choices are fewer in the food aisles. That's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing that. And I'm also seeing that everybody's trying to sell you right now, before Christmas, right now, actually, a month ago, trying to get the money before the next guy gets your money, before you're out of money. And that's what's happening right now. It's like fierce sales right now. And it used to be that this stuff didn't happen before Thanksgiving. Now before Thanksgiving Day, they have sales. As a matter of fact, Christmas music was playing 2 weeks ago in Springfield. And they would say, we're getting ready for the Christmas lineup. We're going to have Christmas music. And they would have the jingling, and they were alluding to and, teasing you with Christmas-type music. So the last couple times I went into, I'm just rambling on some things that I've been thinking of that have been bothering me. Last couple of times, my finger's bloody, and it hurts. And I would have thought that would have clotted by now, but it hasn't. But so I went to Springfield yesterday from the farm, and I decided to listen to the radio, and I kept pushing with the tip of my finger the advance button on the radio to look at the next higher frequency, next. And there's nothing, absolutely nothing worth listening to on the radio. Nothing. That's why my finger's bloody, because it wore out. It wore out pushing the the next button. Trying to find the next frequency that might have something worth listening to. Radio has become lousy. And I can see why people don't listen to the radio, because almost all of it is lousy. And now, the songs, you can't sing to them, you can't hum them. Even the performers can't do it without, electronic assistance. It's miserable. The words are lousy. They try to make words that don't rhyme. They try to make it rhyme. I mean, good luck. So the music is lousy. The talk radio is lacking. And those who are involved in it repeat what they just said 8 different ways. It's miserable. Absolutely miserable. And yet, there are 700,000 podcasts running right now. And you go to YouTube and you try to find out how to adjust something in your transmission or a clutch or an engine. And the guy comes on, "Hey, YouTubers, how's it going?" Really? Who's going to answer him? Nobody. It's not interactive. Why do they say, "Hey, YouTubers, how's it going?" Pretty dumb if you ask me, but that's what they do. And that's what's out there. Anybody can be a podcaster. Anybody can get on YouTube. Anybody can say whatever they want. And so much of it is lousy. I just can't get over it. But there we are. So those are a few of my comments about what I've noticed recently.
May I comment on your comments there, Vince, real quick?
Please do.
Okay. First of all, you mentioned earlier in the show there's 7,000 podcasts. People are hungry for information.
700,000.
Oh, 700,000. Yeah, that's crazy. And people are hungry for truth. They don't want political correctness anymore. They want information they could use. And you also mentioned about homeschool. Well, Google now has been caught literally changing search results live time. That's why I always say you cannot get your definitions off of the internet anymore. You can't get terms. Everything is skewed to control the public. And as far as teaching social and political indoctrination, that's what public school is for today. In small towns, it's a little better, but they're teaching kids little boys how to give BJs. They're teaching to choose your gender identity when kids are confused enough as it is. And, one of the biggest deterrents I hear about homeschooling from public school advocates is that your kids don't have social skills. Well, pretty much 98% of the kids I have working on my place, I hire from homeschool families because they have better social skills, because they're thinkers and not followers. They can listen better. They usually out of debt earlier in life. They have better work ethic, and it's not everyone compare. I'm speaking in generalities here because there's exceptions to every rule. And you're talking about how also people are, there's ads everywhere and people are desperate to sell things. It's because 80% of the people are broke. They live paycheck to paycheck. They're in debt. They're using debt to pay for debt. And as far as gardens are concerned, I think that's I know we've had shows just on gardening, but it's so important, when you were talking with Dr. Shealy about fluoride, even China labels it as a pesticide. It makes women sterile, makes everyone docile, creates cancer. It's one of the main ingredients often in rat poisoning. I mean, we can go on and on about the MSGs with dozens of names, and the propylene glycol, which is antifreeze in food, and the fact that antioxidants are barely in foods anymore, and the fact that we're literally modifying our proteins and our enzymes in lots of our foods, and that's why it's so important. And basically, it's for the profit and the shelf life and how long it lasts in the field. And nothing's being done for the little people. Nothing's being done to educate people on boosting the immune system. Nothing's being done on teaching the 6 areas that deal with the immune system, like inflammation, circulation, allergies, infection, detoxification, cancers, and tumors. If people would do the research or listen to shows when we talk about this stuff, who knows how many pharmaceutical drugs, synthetic drugs, we can actually get people off. And one of my favorite acronyms, and I talk about it when applicable, is SARP, S-A-R-P, synthetic, artificial, refined, and processed. If people would take those in moderation, I think everybody would be a lot healthier. Vince?
I was thinking, as you were talking about these things, how things are changing. We know a guy who has a 1996 Dodge Caravan. It's a handicapped, accessible type van. And it has a ramp, you push the button and the door slides open and the ramp comes down and you can ride out with your little scooter. It's in rough shape. It doesn't look all that pretty. And so it needs some electrical work. There's some gremlins in there, and it needs some work on the sliding door and some other things. So the senior, he's in his 70s, wanted to sell it. And so we asked our son to, see if he could find out what the salvage value or what a junkyard would pay for it, or, auto salvage place. So our son worked on it yesterday to try to find out how, he's trying to help our friend with this van. Nobody wants it. No auto salvage yard wants it. It's too old. 1996 now. The engine's good. The transmission's good. It's got 4 tires, wheels. It's got some seats. It's got glass. I mean, there's a lot of parts on there that could be used, but it's too old. Nobody wants it. So what do you do with it? Well, it's worth $50 a ton. So it means it's worth $75 for crusher value. But the engine works. The transmission works. It's got axles. It's got bearings. it's a lot of parts on there. So, if you had one and you needed spare parts, where would you go? Because the junkyards aren't going to have them anymore because they don't want them because it's too old. We have lost our way. We've absolutely lost our way. As a matter of fact, if you talk to a mechanic and you say, I've got this old car and, it's 20 years old, can you work on it? No. Why? Because it's too old. Huh. What does that mean? Well, it means it's too hard to work on. So, what I'm saying is we used to value durability. Now we value features. Cars are so complex today that that people don't even know the features in their cars because the manuals are too thick, way too thick, way too thick. Vehicles showed up here at the farm, and I was interested in looking at the battery. So I raised the hood. Oh, it's not there. I raised the gate. No, it's not there. I'm not really sure where the battery is. It may be under the rear seat. But we have gotten very, very complicated, and new vehicles like the 2019s, if you decide to put your blinker on, turn signal to change lanes, it will look and see if there's anybody that might be in your blind spot, and it'll tell you on the dash whether it's safe to turn or not. Really? So you don't even have to look anymore. Just depend on that dashboard to tell you if anybody's around you. We've gotten to the point where we don't think it's necessary to turn the steering wheel. It'll do it for us, like a Tesla. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. So what are people going to do? And our son said something really interesting. He said, you know why people go to the movies, Dad, right? Because they've got nothing better to do. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that people have nothing better to do than to go to the movies? We're falling down. And when I think about that, when instructors would call the house and they say, how's it going? I go, it's terrible. Why is it terrible? Well, they turn the lights off at 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And next time I talk to them, I'd say, it's terrible. They turn the lights off at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Then yesterday I said, it's terrible. They're turning the lights off at noon. And what I'm saying is, there's not enough daylight. That's what I'm saying. Not enough daylight for the Finelli family to get done all the things that we need to do. We can't get it done. And with the shorter days and longer nights, it's way worse. And going to the movies, can't imagine getting 3 hours together to go to the movies. I can't imagine. We have too many things that we have to do. We'll be right back. Rich Scheben's with us, offgridmontana.com. Headlines, Daily Mail. Brace for the coldest Thanksgiving in decades. 100 million Americans are on alert as bomb cyclone and second powerful winter storm threaten travel chaos with strong winds, heavy rain, and up to 3 feet of snow from the Rocky Mountains to the Great Lakes. Over 100 million people are under weather warnings in 26 states from California to New York Tuesday. And the first storm is already underway as snow is currently falling at the rate of 3 inches per hour in Denver. About a quarter of Denver International Airport's 1,500 flights have been canceled, and airport officials say more cancellations are likely. The storm is expected to drop 2 feet of snow from the Rockies to the Great Lakes into Wednesday. Another major storm is expected to hit the West Coast later Tuesday and could bring bomb cyclone conditions with over 2 feet of snow in the mountains in the Northwest and possible flash flooding in Southern California. Storm, it will move into the Rockies and towards the central U.S. on Thanksgiving, also known as Thanksgiving, before dumping rain on the East Coast on Sunday. So I just wanted to mention that. It looks like that could be a pretty serious storm and, serious weather. The coldest Thanksgiving in decades. 100 million Americans are on alert. And now they use the word bomb cyclone. I don't remember bomb cyclone when I was growing up. Never heard that term. It's a new term. Did you hear that term when you were growing up, Rich Scheeben?
No, that's a new one for me, but a little sidebar, Vince. Zero Hedge just put an article just to show you that there's a reason why your show is number 3 on GCN and the only one on RBN Network. And the article states, Bloomberg journalists demand management reverse ban on investigating boss Democratic rivals. And they call this the biggest story in 12 months after we just mentioned that this is USSR sanctioned, approved behavior where the Democrats don't even need to be investigated on or commented on their news, and it is gospel. So I think I don't believe in coincidences all the time, and I think they heard us say this, and this is why articles like this come out. And yeah, Vince, your show I think is quite popular. I hear people commenting to me all the time, and a lot of people appreciate the things that we say, the facts, the economic 101 updates. I think the most comments I get as far as kudos is the fact that we have the guts to say the truth, and we do not care about political correctness. And I think this is what's waking up the people. I think the people can see that it is the aristocracy managing and controlling the serfs, and it's not as much of a left-right paradigm as people think. People agree that the Democrat Party has been hijacked by the globalists and are even funding every sanctioned message that gets to the public, from the mainstream media, through academia, through public schools. It doesn't matter. It's all done to divide and conquer, and especially lower the bars of standards and expectations for getting a job. And that's why people are going to the movies. That's why cars are getting more difficult to work on. We're being groomed to lose control of our destiny. We're being groomed to not having skill sets. We're being groomed to not looking with foresight. And it's a very dangerous time for our country, Vince.
Well, I've been thinking about how many young people I know who actually know how to do things mechanical. And it's getting fewer and fewer. Now, we have some mid-20-year-old farm boys around here, and they do, because they were raised around farm equipment. But if they weren't raised around farm equipment, they would not know how to do things like check the oil on a vehicle. And that's something that we're seeing every day here at the farm. People come in and they have problems with their cars, and our son will take a look, and he sees the same thing all the time. They forget to change the oil. They'll go 2,000-3,000 miles past when it should be changed. They'll go up even more than that. How can they forget? How's that possible? But that's what they're doing. They forget because they don't know. They don't know that you're supposed to lift up the hood. But Scheben's with us. Hey, Rich, I was just kind of looking at gift ideas that Best Buy is promoting, things that you can give other people. They're all electronic, and they're all like speakers, wireless speakers, pretty much everything is wireless. And I decided to look up wireless or Wi-Fi thermostats for a house. Now, I remember being able to buy a thermostat for about $15. If you want to walk all the way over there and then either rotate the dial or slide the lever, about $15, and you can control your gas furnace or your oil burner with one of these manual thermostats. But it's on sale now. You can save $25, and you can get a Nest third generation thermostat for $224.99, and it will communicate wirelessly. Now, why would you want to tell the internet what temperature your house is and when? Why would you want to do that? Well, some people think it's worth $224.99 to be able to do that. Some people want to be able to tell their light bulbs, dim a little bit, or to go on or go off, without getting off their scooter or their lazy boy or its equivalent. I am stunned at how lazy we have become. Like having a ceiling fan. We have ceiling fans in our house. But if you want to power that up, you flip a light switch and it will turn on the ceiling fan. And if you want to change the speed, you pull this cord once, twice, or 3 times for, low, medium, or high speeds. You can do that. But some people think that that's too hard, and they want to have a remote control, and they want to point the remote control at the fan. to control it. But what happens if your battery's dead in the remote control? What happens if you lose the remote control or break it? Now what do you do? I can't get over how we have swapped durability for features. It makes no sense to me. None. But that's what we've done. We've done it with washing machines. We've done it with dryers. We've done it with dishwashers. They're even smart mixers. You can control a lot of these household appliances from your smartphone. It seems to me that it would be harder to go over to my smartphone, if I had one, which I don't, to control an appliance than to just go over to the appliance and power it on. It makes no sense to me. But yet, people are doing that. People have these devices in their homes. And if they want to be stupid and they want to spend their money frivolously and carelessly and recklessly, that's fine with me. But what's not fine with me is if they have those in their home and they don't tell me that everything that is being said, every utterance, every sound is being sent to the internet. That I have a problem with. So I'm not interested in going places. You know, in the remote possibility that anyone in my family might be invited someplace for Christmas, I'm probably not interested in going. Unless I know that these people don't have these smart things in their home. I really, really object to this. This is spying on us as individuals without our knowledge nor our consent. And I object to it. Rich, you have any comments on that?
Well, technology is a double-edged sword, and it's more censorship and surveillance for the powers that be than it is a benefit for us. You know, when you do what you just suggested, you're opening yourself to hacking. You're allowing somebody who has certain computer skills to come in and change the parameters of whatever you're monitoring. It could be your off-grid system, your generator, your voltage, your amps. And when you talked about the fan, you know, basically it's also a lowering of the bars of standards and quality is what's happening in the manufacturing world and the products and countries we get the products from. So you're paying more for forceful obsolescence. But I know a couple of people who live off-grid who kind of brag about their fancy system, and they have a monitor in their cabin or in their home, and they can check online how things are working. And there is some benefits to that, I guess, if you're on the road a lot. But if you're retired, I personally enjoy going to my setup and checking my generator, checking my inverter charger, checking my batteries, checking my solar controller. I like going to the spot and killing as many birds with one stone as possible, if you will. I don't trust the technology. I mean, we should be more concerned with people. And keep in mind, before I say this one article, folks, I do eat out once in a while, okay? I'm not 100% eating indoors, because sometimes you just have to. And here's an article, over 75,000 pounds of salad recalled due to E. coli. This is a recent article. We should be more concerned with food intake and building our immune system and creating antioxidants and having a good quality of life than increasing technology, because that imbalance between technology and nature that we are seeing is causing a lot of despair, a lot of debt, a lot of problems. And I'm all for technology. You know, I live off-grid. I have a solar array. My whole system is electronic. So I'm all for technology. However, we have to have a balance in life between technology and nature. As we lose that, things get a lot worse for the little people. Vince?
Okay, so when you talked about the generator, what came to my mind is some people have these really, really sophisticated generators, and they can sense a power outage. So we're on the grid, everything's good. Oh, grid's down, generator fires up, transfer switch automatically throws, everything's great. I would never have one of those. Never. And I'll tell you why. Because my protocol, if I'm going to get in my truck or car, even if the truck or car is at our home on the concrete pad right next to the garage, before I get in my car or truck, I walk around it. I look at the tires. I look for leaks under it. I smell for leaks like gasoline, diesel, whatever it may be. I want to know if that vehicle is likely to make it to where I'm going. And when I get where I'm going, I do the same thing before I get in it again. I check that. I look at the tires. Is everybody good? Any flats? Any leaks? Any smells? Did the fuel line rupture, the fuel tank rupture? Is there any damage to the vehicle from somebody else's carelessness? Or is anybody in my vehicle? That's what I do. That's what I do. So in that line of thinking, that protocol, I would never have an automatic generator fire up because it thinks that the grid is down and it would need to fire up and run the devices in the house. What if you're not home? What if you're not home? What if there's a propane leak? And when that solenoid clicks to fire off that starter, there's a spark inside that solenoid. Boom! Could go that propane leak. Why would I do that? I would not do that. And in that same line of thinking, believe it or not, I look at our washing machine. I look under the washing machine when I approach it. I look for leaks. Did it leak? Is the water pump bad on the washing machine? Did the refrigerator leak on the floor? I look for things like that. I know a guy who had a hole in his kitchen floor. A hole. When I say a hole, you could fall through it. Okay? Because his refrigerator drip pan was a self-defrosting or frost-free refrigerator. When they defrost, there is a drip pan underneath the refrigerator. And so drops of water go into this drip pan, and it's near the compressor, and there's heat there, so that water evaporates. But if something goes wrong, and that line that drips into the drip pan gets plugged up with little bits of food or whatever might be in your refrigerator over the years, and it happens, you see this, a lot of appliance repairs are because of these little lines that are too small, get plugged up, and then water drips out of the refrigerator. Well, if that happens, it can damage your floor, weaken the floor, mold, mildew, and your floor can become weak and fail. So I look for things like that all the time. I wouldn't even get in a little riding lawnmower without looking at the wheels. I want to check the oil. I want to know that it's right. And I'd be furious if I had a generator that would come on without me checking the oil first. I'd be furious. Am I going to allow some mechanical/electrical sensor to tell me that the oil is correct? As a matter of fact, there's a 2004 Mercedes that was here. And you go to check the oil, you pull the dipstick. Yeah, it's a dipstick tube. But when you go to pull the dipstick out, all you get is the plug between your fingers. There's no dipstick attached to the plug. It looks like it has one, but in the tube it's empty. So I took 2 dipsticks and I made one so that the oil could be checked mechanically. Raise the hood, pull the dipstick out. Yeah, I had to do some really careful measuring, but I made one because I thought that this vehicle needed to have a dipstick to check the oil rather than go inside the car, wait 5 minutes after the engine shut off, push a couple buttons on the steering wheel, and have it tell me whether the oil level's right or not. What does that mean? Oil's okay. Does that mean it's a half quart down? Does it mean it's less than 1 quart down? I don't want it to be less than a quart down because oil is the thing, the material, the substance that transfers the heat from the engine to the cooling system. I don't want to be 1 quart down with an 8 quart system or a 5 quart system or a 6 quart system. I want it to be at the correct level. So I'm not going to trust these electronic gadgets and features that the GDP thinks are really cool. I don't want a smart TV looking at me when I look in my refrigerator or look at my refrigerator or watch me walk across the kitchen. I don't want that. I will not allow that. And in our home class, it's all wired with wire. Wire. That's the old way, and it works just great. Rich?
Well, it's just analogous to today's pilots. A lot of pilots are admitting they're losing control of, they're losing their perishable skills, which piloting a plane is.
Yeah, and if they're losing their skills piloting a plane, what about the GDP losing their skills to operate a vehicle, navigate? What about potholes? Do the Teslas know when there are potholes ahead? Do they slam on the brakes? Or they just drive through them? Rich Scheben's with us, offgridmontana.com. Rich, I don't have one of these things, but I can't wait to go get one. I'm looking at the internet, and there's a 28 cubic foot, 4-door French refrigerator made by Samsung. And I'm reading the reviews, and this guy says everything, or gal says everything I expected. Quote, my fridge was delivered last Saturday. We really liked the color. Not sure if we were going to like the black stainless, but it really goes well with our counters. Organizing the shelves was simple and worked perfect for what we have in there. Setting up the family hub was a little bit of a task. There were several updates needed. Seemed like it would never end. After all the updates completed, started loading with pictures, Samsung and Gmail accounts. Everything runs well. We installed the necessary apps on the phone, and the fridge and phone work flawlessly. I'm going to run further testing, and we'll be back soon. After using my fridge last week, using the inside cameras to shop, add to the shopping list, and seeing what's about to expire, it's made our shopping easier and less complicated. Being able to send and receive memos, posting on the whiteboard makes it fun and amusing communications with the whole family. Using the Family Hub screen as a monitor has helped with cooking, i.e. watching YouTube how-tos. Walking by my fridge, I get to watch a whole array of pictures from all of our libraries. The kids like using the memo and the whiteboard to leave funny comments. Listening to music is easy. Matter of fact, setting everything up was simple, and it all runs just like a phone or PC would. Thank you. That's what a refrigerator is today. Refrigerator is the center of activity. You can leave funny comments for the rest of the family on the whiteboard on your refrigerator. When I say whiteboard, I'm talking about a big screen. A big screen. You can watch YouTube videos on your refrigerator. What a great idea. Why didn't I think of that? Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi, smartphone-controlled refrigerator freezer. 4 doors. 28 cubic feet. Everybody needs one of those, right? I can't believe it. What is it going to cost to maintain that thing? I can't imagine. It's got a camera on the inside, so you don't have to open the door. It'll tell you when your food is expired. Wow. Matter of fact, you can probably go to work and see what's in your refrigerator. Wouldn't that be fun? Any comments?
Well, Vince, a lot of people, that's one of the reasons why we always talk about Economic 101 is because a lot of people don't think about the cost, the debt. The rolling blackouts that's occurring right now, it's not just because of fires, the smart meters, the hacking, the loss of privacy, the higher energy costs that are coming. I mean, we can talk about this till we're blue in the face, but I think a lot of people are justifying and rationalizing this new technology when 80% of people are in debt up to their eyeballs. And I think they have to have distractions in order to rationalize their life in a lot of ways. I mean, I personally know people who have brand new sports cars worth 70, 80 grand. I know people who have huge homes. And a lot of those people, most of them, are in debt up to their eyeballs. And they're either trying to keep up with the Jones or manufacture the perception that they're successful, or they're just trying to rationalize the new technology for the sign of the times, thinking that that's the way to go, but they don't think of the bottom line and other circumstances as well. And that's why you always hear me talk about the four most important things in life is freedom, liberty, time, and health. And you could put many, many subsets under those categories. But when you are in debt, and you lose privacy, and you're getting hacked, and energy costs are going up, I think those subsets get more compromising as time goes on, Vince.
Yeah, and as you're saying that, I was looking at that review. I'm trying to think, these guys, how could they write this drivel? And what I found out was it's a little icon to the side. It says incentivized review. I wonder if incentivized review is equivalent to fabrication, lie, deceit, misinformation, con job. I wonder. I think that's what it means. And I was looking for some of the reviews that were like 1 star, 2 stars, 3 stars, rather than 5 stars. Can't find them. Can't get to them. So, class, I can tell you that I was at a house where someone bought one of these Asian refrigerator freezer combinations, and the doors are so flimsy that if you close the refrigerator door, the freezer door pops open. It's kind of like in your house. You know, you come in the front door and your back door pops open when you close the front door. Would you like that? Or when you get in your car and you close the driver's door and the passenger door pops open. Would you like that? That's how flimsy these things are. And if you look at vehicles that have been scrunched up, accidents, little dings, you look at the damage. How did it get so wrinkled? It's because the sheet metal is so thin. Scheben, thanks so much for being with us. Wow.
Always a pleasure, Vince.
We're falling down, class. We're falling down. And it's up to you to turn this around.